Okay, today is April 2nd, 2024. I'm recording this at almost 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I missed my morning recording. I had to do something in the morning and couldn't be here, so I'm catching up today. We'll continue with chapter 33 of the Tanya. In that chapter, we'll talk about connection between upper world and the lower world. The divine world, where God and angels reside, so to speak, and the earth, the world where humanity and nature and animals exist. The Tanya, in chapter 33, brings this concept out. Rabbi Miller says that God created the universe in order to have a dira ba tachtonim, the home in the lower physical worlds in plural. So God abided, so to speak, in the esoteric world of upper world. And He created the lower world in order to be able to express Himself in the infinity of possibility, not only in one side, esoteric, but also in a tangible, earthly way. Tanya says that when world created, Tanya quotes Psalm 149, verse 2, that says, and this is the meaning of the verse, let Israel rejoice in his maker. V'zachu shikatu, and it was written, Yisma Yisrael b'asav. And the word asav, usually translated at maker, but another Hebrew connection root is connected to Asav to Asiya, which is worlds, and Asav is in plural. So why is we're talking about ideal worshiping, multiple gods. God created worlds, or gods, makers created worlds. Well, the Kabbalistic look into that. It is said the creation was dual. It's a single. God is not dual. But creation unites the upper world and the lower world. And how do we unite these worlds? Well, we've been talking for 33 chapters now about how people can make closer connection to, how can we unite to it. So two things, we're struggling. Is it two or is it one? Are we one? Are we two? And then Tanya brings an example of generational changes. When Abraham Avinu, our forefathers Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, our forefathers, when they walked around, they were, as Tanya says, they were chariots of God. They were chariots of God. The patriarchs were generally a chariot of God. Genesis, Rabbah, Midrash 47:6. So all the time I walked around, that upper element of Chokhmah, we talked about, through Chokhmah we connect to the infinity. Through the sphere of Chokhmah, they were continuously in connection with God. But we ask ourselves, how it's possible? I mean, gods, they wash their face, they tended to their fields, to the animals, they went to the bathroom, they did lots of things, they had a relationship with their spouses. How they were exactly connected. It's almost you're connected with God when you're driving the car. God forbid you can get an accident. So it's kind of, how do you do that? How can you be connected? And yet, we know even Abraham and Isaac and Jacob also made mistakes. Torah subtly criticizes them for some subtle misdoings. Not a lot. They're very tzaddikim. So what does it mean? In those times, they dropped their connection with God. But be as it may, their connections are most pure and the most strong from generations. Then when Tanya goes to generations of Moses on Mount Sinai. So Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not Jews yet, they're Hebrews, forefathers of Judaism, but they're still developing that. In the times of Moshe, when Jews came from Egypt, former slaves, Rabbi Miller is saying the challenge was this: how do we make a glimmer of the experience of Moshe and the elevated minds that precede him, prophets and patriarchs, available to the community of ordinary people? And that's why when people heard God speak to them, first 2 commandments, they say, it's enough, Moshe, we can't take it, we'll die. They couldn't handle it. The intent was, there was no need to the temple. God said, you can soak me, you can soak God inside yourself. You can become integral of that. You don't need a temple, you don't need a ritual, you don't need anything, just live that. Just like your forefather, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had. People couldn't handle. So God said, in His mercy, well, I'll do a second best. I'll give you a second best. I'll make a temple. So you can come to the temple and you can become unity with God. You can bring sacrifices. You put your hands on the animal. You can connect with the animal. And you imagine that the sin you committed as if your animal absorbs that sin from you. And you physically experience like you're holding your hand on an animal and gets shechted, slaughtered. An animal, innocent animal, dies in front of you. That's a shock. So through the shock you live. You remember that experience. You probably wouldn't want to do the sin again. That's what inadvertent sins. So when you think about sacrifices, it's quite a lot. It's not just let's just kill the animals and burn them to God. It was a lot more than that. I make a little picture here and I'll show it to the camera. There's a cloud, A, temple, B, and a Torah, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. See if you can see that. So second generation, it was a lot more people, not just a few, Abraham, Isaac, and his family, 70 people that came to Egypt. Now it's 3 million people. And they did other things. They came to Israel, they had to till the land, they had to build the roads, they had to do lots of things. And their connection was not as strong. We don't see prophets existed. We didn't see that a normal farmer or the shepherd had a direct revelation with God. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did. So something that dropped the level down. It would be interesting to know in this year, 2024, how do we compare to that? We now have over 10 billion people on Earth. There are 50 million Jews, roughly half in Israel, another half in America, England, France, mostly. Do we have direct revelations? Now, we talk about in Tanya how we connect with God, but many times people say, I don't know, how do I know what God wants? I don't see Him, God doesn't talk to me. It's sort of not the same visual phenomena when Abraham is literally talking to God, so to speak, versus me just believing that I am present, that I'm in the presence of God, but I don't see this fantastic opening of the roof of the window and God sticking His head in, a voice in my head. Maybe some people have the experiences. So tonight, when we'll talk, today's Tuesday, every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Israel time, 1 o'clock US time, when we'll talk about in our The Perplex Club about this, we'll discuss different. We'll try to check that. How do we stack up? So if you look at the 3 levels, Abraham's, Isaac, forefathers level time, then Moshe Rabbeinu time, and then our time, what's different? Which one is holier? Which one's closer to God? Well, Tanya mentioned that no, today's generation doesn't have the same strengths of connection. Even from a physical standpoint, people in older days could memorize books and scrolls. They can multiply 365 times 497 and get an answer. Today we need a calculator for even simpler things. So we lost the ability, our minds atrophied from the ability to have the sensual perception that our forefathers had. Go the first grader, goes to school, and 5 plus 7, he has to take a calculator to come up with results. 5 plus 3, what is it? Let me get a calculator. So we lost this ability, and spirituality also went down. What Tanya says the counter to that is learning the Torah. If you study the Torah means you're learning the books of Moses, you're learning the prophets, you're learning the writings, you do mitzvot, you're involved in participation in the world, you do good deeds, and you try to get your soul connected, as Tanya teaches, to God closer, to overcome your animalistic soul, selfish, egotistic tendencies. Then you can bring yourself up to the level of the patriarch, essentially, to recompense, to revitalize what we have lost. And that is the objective of today's generation, to get to the same level. Again, think about it. It's hard for me to imagine that 90 people, Avraham days, and 3 million people, and now 15 million people. What changed? Are we falling down? Are we elevating ourselves? Do we have our technology, airplanes, spaceships, medicine, transformation, health, science, hospitals, shelters, high-story buildings, our villas, our homes? We're certainly not living in caves or at least in tents. We have much more comfortable living. So how does it all stack up together? Are we a lot more elevated society? Are we in a better world than, let's say, Abraham and Sarah lived? They didn't even have cars. They didn't have even bicycles, probably. You have to travel from Beersheba to Hebron or to Haifa somewhere. Took a long time. Now you get in a car, 1 hour, you go to the beach, and then an afternoon you're back home. You want to visit family in America, get on a plane, 12 hours later you're there. You want to go to Russia, 3 hours, you're there. You want to go to Italy from Israel or from Greece, 2-3 hours, you're there. Before, who would think of traveling to Greece on vacation or to America? Who even knew America existed? What did you people do sitting at home? They're learning Torah, tilling the fields, taking care of the sheep, but they didn't watch TV. They didn't know how Yankees scored in the last baseball game. They didn't have entertainment. They didn't have movies. Was it a boring life? Do we have such a fun life filled with excitement that our forefathers didn't have? Which is better? Did we gain something? Did we lose something? Well, let's talk about tonight at 8 o'clock. If we log in on Zoom, miss it. You can catch up again every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Israel time. If you need to know the link to the Zoom that we'll do, just make a comment and I'll give you the Zoom link to that. All right, so we'll catch up tomorrow. So I don't have answers today. I just bring up the challenges. I think about myself. As you can see in the background, the practical example, Rabbi is teaching a young kid, preparing to his bar mitzvah. You can hear it? Well, that's probably an example. I'm talking about, I'm listening to him saying that, and I'm fulfilling what Tanya is saying, learning Torah. They're not watching TV. They're not going to the football game. He's a kid learning Torah. Is it fun? Is he missing in his life something? He doesn't go to the basketball game tonight? Maybe he'll go tomorrow sometimes. I don't know. Let's think about it. Let's talk about it more. Have a great day, great evening, and we'll talk tomorrow.